All right, guys. My name is Brett Keeler. If you didn't know, I'm Pomprog District's district executive. This over here is Brian Hunter. Brian Hunter is a former scout, and he's currently serving in the U.S. Army. So we have a couple of questions we'd like to ask Brian. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that I've asked you to do a lot of ridiculous things in the past, but that's because we've known each other for a while. This one, I hope that we can let our scouts know some real things about a true guy who went from being a scout to joining our U.S. Armed Forces. So, Brian Hunter, first of all, what troop did he come out of? Where are you from?
Okay, so I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm from Troop 100. Fun fact: Troop 100 has the most Eagle Scouts on any out of any troop on Long Island. So yeah.
All right, excellent, excellent. Troop 100, always a great troop.
Repre-
So, what is your favorite? What is your favorite scouting moment that you remember growing up?
Okay, so actually, this is. Uh, can I use one from when I worked on the camp staff?
Let's do scouting as a youth first, and then we'll do camp staff one.
Okay. Oh, I mean, I gotta say it's still a camp moment because like my best memories as a scout always happened at Bating Hollow Scout Camp. Um, but yeah, it's definitely Troop 100 early morning activities, and my scoutmaster would drag me every year. Every year, Troop 100 would always go to the early morning activities, and it was mandatory. We weren't not allowed to do it, but we would go to the polar bear swim, and for sure, the polar bear swim was my favorite thing that we did. It wasn't in the beginning, but as I got older, I would get pumped up to go to the polar bear swim.
Okay. And I can confirm his scoutmaster dragged people to go because one time his scoutmaster knocked on our cabin door when the archery director didn't wake up in time for early morning, and I slept in a cot next to him and I laughed at him as he scrambled out of bed to get to the archery. That was Mike Finn. That was 2015, I think. Okay, and what do you think? Still as a youth, what do you think was the best thing that scouting prepared? Like, what was the thing you thought? Let me restart that question. What do you think that scouting prepared for you? Hold on, I'm gonna restart that question again.
Yeah.
How? What is one skill that you think scouting prepared you for the rest of your life, whether it's in the army or whether it's not?
Uh, well, I want to take that question in two parts because there's one part of that where like the entire like Boy Scouts structure is just related to the military, and that helped a great deal in my transition. But as far as skills, actually, you know what? They're kind of tied together because the Wilderness Survival Merit Badge, for sure, directly, like it's a direct correlation into like what I had to deal with when I went to join the army. Like from becoming a civilian to going into the military, like you just get to basic training and then they're just like, all right, so first thing that we're going to go over is all these facing movements that I already knew because of Boy Scouts, and then it kind of got into it's like they're yelling at you and stuff, but at the end of it, like I'm kind of thinking, this is all stuff that I learned in the Scouts. This is surreal. So then, like the way that the leadership is broken up, it's platoons, and then within your platoons you have squads, basically patrols and your troop, right? So it made the transition from one to the other, like from civilian to military, very easy to do. And then, I don't remember what troop it was back home, but they had a slogan that was like, "When it rains, we camp." And I was just like, and that was what it was like. I mean, it was funny because you would look around and there'd be so many people. It's like this is their first time out camping, like this is it. Like they'd never done this before, and it's just like, yeah, man. Sometimes it rains, like, but but yeah. So they went through first aid like in depth. I mean, like heat strokes, like like going into shock, field dressings, like stuff like that. So your basic first aid, like all that stuff's covered. And yeah, so like basically it was funny because like a lot of the things that you learn when you go to basic training, like I already had an understanding of through going through Scout.
Excellent. That's a great answer. There's a lot of great things that our scouts can prepare for with their troop, whether at summer camp. And of course, Brian, you were a big summer camp guy. On Bating
Yeah.
House Scout Camp staff for how long? How many years?
Uh, I'm just gonna say 8. I think 8.
8. Okay, so you spent
8 summers.
so you spent most of that time as a lifeguard or as the waterfront director, and then you spent your final summer in 2014 as the program director. Now, you spent a lot of time at camp. What was your favorite camp memory? What do you think that camp staff may have helped you out with a little bit more later in your life?
Okay. So I'll take the second question first because backwards. That's the way we do it. And I'll say this. So the camp staff was my second job or third job, depending, because it was for the summers. So it was the first place that I'd ever been a manager. So having like going from a regular instructor when I first got there to having my first management experience is definitely it's definitely very valuable to me. So I started as an instructor where I was just teaching swimming lessons, which when you're teaching those to 30 kids at a time, you get a certain level of public speaking and you do get more comfortable like talking in front of people and leading in that aspect. But to actually get to a point where I was training lifeguards and getting people ready to be proficient in teaching it's a very rewarding experience. And yeah, it was definitely very valuable. But every year, okay, so this is definitely my favorite memory. And your brother could speak to this because your brother was on my waterfront. But my favorite memory of every year was when we would have the waterfront shindig, and it was our party at the end of the year that the waterfront director would throw for the guys. And my favorite part about it was, at least in the years that I was the waterfront director, I would let the guys roast me. So that was that was my favorite memory. And I think if you ask like your brother or some of the guys that were on the waterfront, it was a good time. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's nice to give something back to the guys after they give you a whole summer of good work.
Yeah. Waterfront staff always a bunch of tools. Now the power of video editing is going to make that go away. They wanted to do this live. Can you believe that? I was like, no way. I was like, me and Brian could not talk like this live. I was like, I was like, first of all, Brian won't talk to anybody but me. Second of all, no, that's just not gonna work. We're gonna laugh too much.
For sure. I'm having a good time. This is fun.
Good, excellent. I figured you'd be down for this. That's why I asked you and not Kevin O'Toolbag. Because everything about he is so great. He's so great. The big man on campus. Anyway. Okay. So after your time on Capstan, wow. All right, back to that was not a proper pronunciation of camp. Okay. Power of video editing. I just say crap until I speak a correct sentence. So after your time on camp staff, you obviously did a couple different things, and then eventually you led down to the career to joining the military, joining the army. How do you think that change has impacted you, and what made you do it?
Well, I mean, honestly, it'd been something that I had always thought about doing. And more or less, I mean, I just went into my career field that I graduated in. I just didn't like it. And I was like, well, this is the other thing that I wanted to do. So I pretty much just went for it. I did, or I mean, yeah, I mean, I kind of just went for it, like I just talked to my recruiter and we got on the same page, and it was pretty easy. A lot of people don't have good stories about their recruiters. I had an awesome recruiter, so it was a really good experience, and it was pretty easy.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to give some of that big brain of yours, put it into work a little bit. So if you had to give advice to a younger person, and I wanted to give advice to 3 separate people, okay? One is a scout, one is a camp staff member, and one is a young man or woman. Remember, we do have boys and girls in scout troops now. which is getting more and more big every day. I know you're not used to that just yet. But what would you give to a young person, either a scout, a camp staff member, or somebody looking to join the armed forces? And what advice could you give them to help them along that path?
Okay.
It could be the same bit for all three. It could be different. That's your call.
All right. Let's take it. We'll take it one at a time, because I can't answer all three at once. Let's do person who's joining the armed forces, right? I would say the best advice that I could give you would be research what you want to do within whichever branch you're interested in doing. And then study hard for the ASVAB, which is the placement test, because the better you score on that, the better you can do, the more options you have to pick where you want to end up. And then just make sure that it's what you want to do. Be sure, research it, and absolutely make sure that it's what you want to do, because you're going to be doing it for a little bit. So that's the best advice that I can give to somebody who wants to join. Also, like, get fit, right? It's going to make going through basic a little bit easier if you don't have to get in shape while you're in basic.
The scout is physically fit.
Okay. Best advice for a scout? I mean, go on campouts, go on campouts, do the best that you can, and go ahead and step up, get that SPL position, because you'll be happy that you did it, because, by the time that people are going to college, right? By the time that people graduate, I mean, not too many of those people have been a leader in some sort of way, so you definitely want to get that leadership XP before you go ahead and enter your career path.
All right, that's some great advice, Brian. And just a couple quick tidbits about what you do in the Army. So what exactly is what you can say about it? Obviously, you don't have to. Yeah. So what is your role in the Army?
I mean, so I work in the Signal Corps, and that's pretty much all I'm allowed to say about that. So you may want to cut that. You can't
say Signal Corps, or no?
I could say that I work in the Signal Corps, but I mean that's pretty much where it ends. I can't really say anything.
You're completely allowed to say that. Yes. So obviously we can't know every detail about every person in the Army, which is definitely a good thing, actually. And where are you stationed right now, Brian?
So right now I'm stationed at Fort Gordon, which is really cool because when my dad was in the military, he actually went through his basic training and advanced individual training at Fort Gordon. So it's really cool that, like me and my dad, we both ended up in the same place one way or another. And he's actually coming down to see me next week. So he's coming down to see the fort. So it'll be cool.
That is cool. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, random question. Would you rather wear the Scout uniform or the Army uniform?
Scout uniform all day. Seriously, though, the Scout uniform, like, first of all, the Scout uniform is just better because every single time you wear the military uniform, you got to wear this T-shirt under it. And this is Georgia, bro. So it's like 95 degrees all the time. I'm always wearing shirts and pants. There's a Class B, like you got the shorts with the Boy Scout uniform. You have a summer option. There's no summer option. I'm wearing long socks, boots, and pants, and 2 shirts every day in Georgia in the summer. Like, Scout uniform, no contest.
That's a good answer. Brian, your personality is shining through as always.